Kabuto brought back an entire army of dead ninjas through the Edo Tensei during the War Arc. And he brought many very obscure ninjas, like the girl who used Scorching Style, that guy who used Magnet Style.
I don't even know who you are.
Some of those people Kabuto brought back, they're canon by the way, because there's a lot of filler arc episodes with very stupid Edo Tenseis. But there are some very odd canon Edo Tenseis as well, and when you look at those, you just wonder, wait, why didn't Kabuto bring back some very relevant people?
Why did you leave me?
The answer for this question, more often than not, is because Kishimoto didn't want to. For instance, Jiraiya, Kishimoto didn't want to bring him back because he probably thought Jiraiya's death would have been undermined if he was brought back by Edo Tensei. Because let's be real, Jiraiya's DNA was all over the Rain Village. It would have been very easy to get it and get the Edo Tensei.
It's almost like you gotta stick your knife in it to kill it.
But another Edo Tensei people really wanted to see and Kabuto just didn't bring back was Shisui Uchiha. However, for Shisui there is an actual in-universe explanation that makes a lot of sense as to why Kabuto didn't bring him back. And before we get to that, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you receive all the videos, and also like this video. Come on, everyone like this video right now, thank you. When Kabuto and Obito were discussing about the Edo Tenseis and the ones that Kabuto brought back and the ones Kabuto didn't, Kabuto says that he couldn't find Shisui's DNA anywhere, which...
It's not true. It's bullshit.
And in hindsight, that was a red herring. People were supposed to believe that Tobi / the masked man / Madara was Shisui when Obito said that, because that's really the only reason why Kabuto stated that. So the audience would be a little confused, and I have to be honest with you, back when that happened in the manga, I've always thought that Tobi was Obito from the get-go because the entire fandom thought that. And it wasn't a very far-fetched theory at all, but when Kabuto said that, I kinda thought that Tobi was Shisui for a time.
Sometimes my genius is... it's almost frightening.
And it kind of worked out for me, that red herring, so props for Kishimoto. But the actual reason for why Kabuto never found Shisui's body is because, let's face it, Itachi burned it away with his Amaterasu he had just gained after witnessing Shisui dying. Itachi got Shisui's final eye and then just burned him to oblivion so that nobody could use his body for nefarious means, just like Kabuto would have in the war.
Yes, I am aware that the Uchiha clan found Shisui's body, but nothing says that Itachi couldn't just burn it away after they found it.
And if you think that's a bit cold, burning your friend's corpse, well, I don't think it's as cold as murdering your entire clan, so it makes sense, and it is in character for Itachi to do something like that.
A lot of killing. But
let's assume that never happened, and that Kabuto was able to safely secure Shisui's DNA to get an Edo Tensei for him. I'm gonna break it to you. Shisui's Edo Tensei would be absolute
Trash.
Kabuto wouldn't be able to use it for anything useful, and let me explain why. When someone is brought back by the Edo Tensei, this person is brought back the exact way they were just prior to their death. So if you died young, you're gonna come back young. If you died old, you're gonna come back old, so on and so forth. But this also extends to other characteristics at the time of your death. For instance, Nagato died when he was 35 years old, but when he was brought back, he looks like 90 or something because he used Arena Rebirth just before his death, and that made him look old and really drain his body out of his strength.
Why do you look 50 and you're 24?
And when Nagato died, he just had that appearance and his body was very frail. So much so that when he's brought back, Itachi has to carry him around, otherwise he wouldn't be able to move. When he is fighting Bee and Naruto, and he has to use his summonings to make up for that. Of course, that then he absorbs Bee's chakra and rejuvenates quite a lot, being able to move again and all that. But when he is brought back, he still has the appearance he had when he just died, of an old man. And let's remember how Shisui died. Well, he threw himself into a river. But that's not the important part here. Remember what he did before his death. He gave one of his eyes to Itachi, and before that, Danzo stole the other eye. So when Shisui died, he had no eyes.
I cannot see. I'm legally blind. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
If Kabuto were to bring Shisui back via Edo Tensei, he would bring back a guy without eyes. And for an Uchiha who really relies on his Sharingan, that's just completely detrimental for everything. And also you just can't see, which is arguably one of the most important things in the middle of a battle. Of course, there are many ninjas who are very good sensory types and would be able to fight with their eyes closed, or without eyes in this case. We can see Madara doing that, but nothing really tells us that Shisui was such a capable sensory type anyway, and Uchihas don't tend to be good sensory types from the get-go.
I don't sense anything.
So even if he had some sensory capabilities, I doubt they would be good enough to allow him to fight without eyes whatsoever. And sure, he had the teleportation jutsu and all that, but if you can't see, you can't really use that, can you? If Kabuto were to take over Shisui's body in the Edo Tensei form, he wouldn't be able to see either because he wouldn't have eyes. It wouldn't be a very effective Edo Tensei at all. Of course, he wouldn't have Koduamatsukami either because he wouldn't have his Mangekyo. The Koduamatsukami would have been very useful during the war because it's just such a powerful jutsu, and we can see it was very useful when Itachi used it to break himself out of the Edo Tensei. Imagine if Kabuto had access to that, but from the enemy side. It wouldn't be pleasant for the alliance at all, but he simply wouldn't have it because Shisui died without any of his eyes.
Can I offer you a nice eye in this trying time?
And to be honest, if you take away the Koduamatsukami and Shisui's eyesight, you just get the husk of a shinobi, essentially. You take everything out of him. And we don't really know too much about what he could do. He had the teleportation and he had the Koduamatsukami. Both things would be completely useless without eyesight. In the video games, he can use that fire thing with his sword, which doesn't really seem too powerful to me, and you would also need your eyes to perform that with any proficiency. So even if Kabuto had access to Shisui's body, bringing him back through Edo Tensei wouldn't be useful whatsoever. As it is implied, Kabuto has a limit to how many Edo Tenseis he can bring back. He would have to choose the most powerful options available, and Shisui simply didn't make the cut.
The only reasonable way I can see someone using Shisui as an Edo Tensei would be if Obito used him as one of his 6 paths when he had the Rinnegan, because then he could just control Shisui, and if he had interesting jutsus that don't require his eyes, those could be useful. Maybe he has genjutsu that don't require eye contact, that don't require the Sharingan at all, who knows, but then Obito wouldn't have all the 6 tail beasts, and of course that fight was thematically around all the tail beasts.
Comment down below someone you think Kabuto should have brought back and he didn't. Also subscribe to the channel, like this video, and thanks for watching.